value getting stronger on the global market?
Yes, good evening to your many viewers. Certainly this would help, given that our debt is denominated in foreign as well as local currencies. We have foreigners owing quite a significant proportion of our debt. Therefore, such an inflow would help to some extent, but we will not have the full impact because one, we have been downgraded and quite a number of foreigners or foreign investors are exiting the market. So that will certainly have some effect on the likely impacts of this inflow. Then also, as you mentioned, you see the dollar getting more recognition, getting more value, and therefore people would like to continue to invest in the US and other places. So it would minimize the rate of depreciation, but not as much as would have done if you compare to, let's say, 2021 or the years before.
Mr. Jackson, I'll bring you here at this point. So all things being equal, in the coming months, we should not expect the depreciation of the cedi to improve, at least in the next 2 months ahead of us. We're still going to see the depreciation?
First of all, we must understand that we've got to scale down our expectations. We're in a tough situation. These measures will keep us from bottoming out, but they are not a medium to long-term solution. And they will keep us from maybe having a major default in our obligations. And that's for now, that's okay. Listen, we are in a tough situation. We all have to scale down our expectations. The cedi may continue to depreciate or will not even recover to what it was before. But I do sincerely believe that the syndicated loan of 750 million, followed by the cocoa loan, and then the IMF support that will hopefully be signed in Q1 of next year, will hopefully help to address the crisis we are in now.
I see. But then again, you have the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is meeting. They have an emergency meeting that starts tomorrow. There are many, but I just read on Bloomberg, they are predicting a 200% basis point increase in the policy rate from 19% to 21%. Now, if this happens, what would be the possible impact, especially because of the hit that the private sector and indeed traders, for instance, are taking as a result of the depreciation of the cedi? Mr. Jackson.
Well, first of all, remember that every time rates go up, it adds to our inflationary pressures because we are such an import-dependent country. So we are being squeezed between a depreciating currency, high interest rates, and we are in a vicious cycle at the moment. Also, remember that the rates going up will slow down our growth. So we're in a tough situation. We're really, really in a tough situation, and there are no easy way out. At the same time, we can't allow inflation to remain as rampant as it is. So a 200 basis points increase, it's not bad. Thing is, this is a tough time. Like no one think there's a magic wand that is going to be waved and then everything will get okay. We've got to scale down our expectations. We've got to accept that we're in a crisis, and we've got to have faith and hope that these measures will work out.
Professor Corte, so considering the tough times that we are in, and which Mr. Jackson has been talking about, we're all feeling it, what should be the consideration of the Monetary Policy Committee going into this emergency meeting we understand will start tomorrow?
Well, certainly they will look at the economic tempo, they will look at the exchange rate depreciation, look at inflation, inflation expectations, etc., and may likely increase the policy rate. But should that happen, The idea is basically to mop up excess liquidity. When you increase interest rates, you are trying to mop up excess liquidity and also try to minimize inflation. That increase in the rate may also attract investors, both local and foreign investors. So, to some extent, maybe those who might want to sell off the foreign investors, especially some of them may consider investing locally, and that can help minimize the effect of the depreciation. But having said that, it also has a negative impact on businesses because lending rates will go up and businesses will have to finance their loans with at a higher cost. And that can have repercussions on business profits, on price level, general price levels in the country, etc. Going forward, I think the long-term solution will be for us to export more, diversify economy, export more, so we can generate more forex, as well as try to minimize our insatiable demand for import. There's so much pressure on the dollar, just because we try to import everything. Those that we have local substitutes, let's use them as much as possible. So we minimize this high pressure on the dollar and other foreign currencies.
Now, thank you, Prof. And finally to you, Mr. Jackson, has government and indeed leadership demonstrated the willingness to take the tough decisions because of the tough economic situation that we find ourselves in for us to be able to at least stem the tide, what we're saying?
Well, I've gone on record to say that the half-year budget review was a missed opportunity because we should have signaled harder by taking deeper cuts into our expenditure. But the emergency meeting signals to all of us that the central bank is feeling the pinch, is feeling the pressure. Let's wait and see. Up till now, there's a lot more that could have been done to signal to especially our foreign investors that we are serious about fixing our problems. Let's wait and see till the final results come up, then we'll know. But at the moment, there's still a lot we can do.
Mr. Jackson, thank you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, Professor Peter Kortey, he is the director of the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research inside the University of Ghana, Legon. Also, thank you so much, Mr. Joe Jackson. He is an economist with a member of the Chartered Institute of Economists and the Chief Operations Officer of the Dalex Finance, financial analyst as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Great. You're also live here on Ghana Tonight, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. Now, talk about if the policy rate should go up. You heard Professor Peter Kortey talk about the cascading effect. It could impact private sector. They would have to increase the prices of goods and services they sell. That's Ghana Union Trade Association, GUTA. The president is here with me, Dr. Joseph Obeng. So you are going to take a hit if the policy rate should go up. Then cost of credit will go up. And then you're also experiencing the impact of the depreciation of the cedi as well. In the end, the consumers will have to bear the brunt, isn't it?
Yeah. The impact is very negative and is taking a toll on businesses. Seriously, our capital is being depleted. And if I have to compare it with from the beginning of the year, when the dollar started with somewhere 6.4, till now that it has hit the 10 cedi mark, means that our capitals have been depleted of about 40%. Yeah, it means that you haven't done anything bad and your capital have been spirited away by 40%. What I mean is that if your working capital is $100,000, and beginning of the year, you could use 640,000 Ghana cedis to change $100,000. Now, as I'm speaking, you have to go and find a top-up to your 640,000, which is your capital of $100,000, equivalent in cedis. You have to find a top-up. If you are not able to get a top-up, what it means is that you will only be able to change with the same 640,000 Ghana cedis, about $65,000. Your capital have been spirited away. You did not do any bad thing, but because of the economy, you have lost. Probably you used to bring 2 40-footer containers with the $100,000. Now you are not able to get the same $100,000. Means that you only be able to buy only 1 40-footer container out of the 2 40-footer that you used to buy. Your capital is gone. Your ability to buy, the volume that you used to buy has gone away. Then you think that you have to get it from the consumer. The business that we are doing, we do not do it in isolation. We do it with our consumers. Then our consumer, because of the inflation, our customers' purchasing power have also been reduced drastically. It means that if they were able to buy 10 pieces of an item with a certain amount, now the same amount can only be able to buy about 4 pieces of the same item. Then it curtails your turnover. Because if your turnover is reduced, because your customers are not able to buy quantities, the volumes that you used, so it affects your turnover. It means that you will not be able to service your credit, your loan, if your capital is a borrowed one. And then your supplier's credit is also affected because you are not able to service your suppliers. So it's not in our interest even to increase these prices. If you increase the price, they come to affect us. How far can we be piling up the cost to this final consumer? At this stage, maybe the most prudent thing for you want to do is to hold up your stocks, lock up your store, leave it for a while, and then the stock itself will appreciate in value. But can you also do that? Because you have your customers to service. They will need the product. And then also your capital may be a borrowed one, and that you will be compelled to still sell. Sometimes you'll be compelled to even sell cheaper your cost price because you want to service your debt, you want to satisfy your customer and all that. So it's not that we always increase our prices. It doesn't happen like that. Sometimes you cannot just pass it on. So you look on when your capital depreciates. Yeah. This year alone, the monetary policy rate have been increased about 3 times. And if it is to help solve the problem of inflation, it is only aggravating it, because the inflation that we are experiencing now is a cost-pushed one. It's accumulation of cost. From when you bought your goods from the offshore, the world commodity prices have gone up, the freight charges have gone up, the duties that you pay have gone up, exchange rate have gone up, VAT that we used to pay, the flat rate of 3% have gone up to a standard rate of 19.25%. All these are accumulation of cost, and that is causing the inflation. So Bank of Ghana have increased its monetary policy rate, also inducing the lending rates to go up higher, more than we even expected. Now interest rates have gone beyond the 30% mark. And it has also come to add up another layer of cost of doing business. So when they continue to increase it, all that is succeeding to do is to compound the problem. It's not even solving the inflation, because normally we increase the monetary policy rate to mop up the excess liquidity. The problem that we are encountering now is not as a result that we have excess liquidity in the system, more money chasing fewer goods and all that principle. No. So if we keep on increasing it, then we are not helping the situation. We are only aggravating it. And I wouldn't think that they will have to increase again. How long can we take it? How far can we take it? And don't forget that we are in competition with our neighboring countries. And if theirs is very lower than us, and we keep on increasing ours, it means that competition becomes very difficult. We are edged out of business. even the wake of the Continental Free Trade Area and all that, we are simply not attractive to doing business.
There, but we'll see how the coming days will look like, and whether or not the Bank of Ghana, that's Monetary Policy Committee, won't make any specific announcement and with respect to the policy rate and how that would impact on your business. And as has been indicated, if it goes up, you would have no choice than to also pass on all of these increases to the consumer. And that's where the concern is, because the consumer's purchasing power also remains constant. There's no money. There's no increment in the money that you have, but yet the prices of goods and services on the market are going up as a result of the depreciation of the cedi. And now if the policy rate goes up, then it would also impact on the cost of credit, the cost of the loans that the likes of Guta will go and take. And that's an issue. So this is what we're going to be watching in the coming days, and why you should be concerned about how things will play out in the days ahead. This is Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. Right after this, Dr. John Kwache, who is the Director of Research at the Institute, that's the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has also been speaking about this and how, for instance, all of these expectations of the central bank would impact on the depreciation of the cedi. We also have the Asamoah conversation. A lot of you have been talking about it, sharing your views as well as to whether you would support the call-up of Asamoah back to the Black Stars. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
I'm going to interview Zuzum right here in my house. Hey!
Look up there. Why are you using inferior pen?
It was a mistake. I no check.
Acrobat 2. I'm going to knock you out.
I know, sir.
You deserve quality.
Don't make mistakes. Stop.
You did the right thing.
When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury acrylic paint. No be any paint, be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
Paint me champion.
Black. It's not dark. It's bright. Black is bold. Black is every color, all together. My thing, your thing, our thing mixed together. Black shines brightest.
Franco Trading Enterprise. Yeah, don't want to say the TV ebe jaso. Mujitum na musumma fefefe. Munim dada say you 32 inches, 40 inches, 43 inches, 55 inches. Say you the 65 inches. Kesiye. Ana kukruwa 24 inches. Abejaso. Ma mu fie power ne what down no. TV need me holding it up. I'm waiting me show TV no. I'm tossum TV no. A school for hotels, bars, munina. Mumbra Franco Trading Enterprise. Yebe show fefefe. Franco Trading Enterprise. Television papa.
Franco Trading Enterprise. Nana fwe mwenye meswe. Ya brandi ni ya mapefie.
Well, welcome back to Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Also on 3News GH, you can find us there. Look, we've been to the IMF, this is the 18th time. Every time we go there, we come out and then we resort to our fiscal indiscipline and misbehavior. Then we go back there. So what has to be done to ensure that this time around we get out of it and we don't go back? And this $3 billion expected, that's the financial interventions we're expecting from the IMF in the first quarter of 2023. How much of a difference will that make? I had a brief interview with the Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, Dr. John Kwache. He shared a few thoughts with me. Right afterwards, we'll get into the Asamoah conversation with Ibrahim Sanidara. He is a sports journalist. And then also we have Jerome Ochre as well joining us. And a lot of you have been sharing your thoughts about this. Ibrahim Sanidara is a CAF media officer and the former Ghana Football Association Director of Communications, very well celebrated journalist in this country and beyond, with Jerome Otri also joining me. But in the meantime, this is Dr. John Kwache talking about the IMF program and whether it's really going to make a difference and the cedi depreciation that we're experiencing now. Take a look.
That's really a problem. And then also that is why probably the markets don't have so much confidence in that, because it's like they are reading, how many times have you gone to the IMF? 17 times or 18 or whatever. It's quite a lot. So the signal that is sending to the markets is that as a country, we are not able to discipline ourselves. Okay? Now, it is very important that as a country or even as an individual, at least you try to live within your means. And it looks like for whatever reason, whenever we leave IMF programs, we go back to our old bad ways. We spend too much and we don't collect enough revenue. Then we also resort to a lot of borrowing. Of course, any inflows like that, whether it's coming from the IMF, you see the IMF program, another advantage is that it can also catalyze loans from other sources, apart from the IMF itself. Okay. And then, of course, you mentioned the $750 million loan, and then the cocoa syndicated loan may also come. But you see, I don't think that it is sustainable to try and let your currency depend on external loans, to support it. I have always argued that on a long-term basis, it's not sustainable. Okay, so that is why these inflows, they come in all the time. In the past, when we were going to the Eurobond market to borrow, of course, that helped to stabilize the exchange rate a bit. Okay, but you see, the thing is that if you borrow today to cushion your exchange rate, now one day, because we are borrowed, there will be a reverse, flow of whatever you borrowed out. Bank of Ghana will have to pay it out. So the pressure will come back on your city. Not today, but in the future. Okay? So all these loans you are taking to cushion the city now, is it because the demand for the city, for foreign exchange, dollars, is so huge that if you try to throw all your foreign exchange at it, that is why Bank of Ghana, for instance, their reserves is reducing, and they are mindful of that. They were at 9-point-something billion, they are now about 7-point-something. They are mindful of that, because if they throw all it away, and protect the city, they have very little even to cover imports.
So that's Dr. John Kwache. He is a director of research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, talking about the interventions that the central bank is hoping will show up the value of the cedi. Remember, these are loans we are taking. The 750 million that the parliament approved is a loan from Africa Exim Bank. We also have the $3 billion that's coming from the World Bank, the $1.3 billion from the cocoa syndicated loan. He says that, look, the burden of paying back this loan will come up later, even though we're using this as a temporary intervention to support the city. And that's what we should all be thinking about. This is Ghana Tonight. Adwoa Safo is in the news. And this time around, she's responded to the decision by the president to sack her as the Minister of Gender and Children Social Protection. Weeks after the termination of her appointment as Gender Minister, Sarah Adwoa Safo, Member of Parliament for the Dom Kwabenya constituency, has communicated her acceptance of that. Now, the Dom Kwabenya legislator believes the move will afford her the opportunity to focus more on the developmental needs of her constituents. And I'm going to show you that on the screen shortly. Just a brief part of that statement she put out there. So, the Member of Parliament was relieved of her ministerial position after staying outside the country for nearly a year amidst calls from that's her critics to get her sacked. Now, the president's decision to act on these calls That's July 28th, came after Parliament also postponed a decision on her status as a representative of her constituency. However, Madam Adjosafo sees a silver lining in her predicament, that is the decision by the president to sack her. The MP says, and I quote, "This decision by the president to sack her is cognizant of her duties to the 75,000 constituents who elected her. This development is opportune and will afford me more time," emphasis is on more time, "to concentrate on my parliamentary responsibilities and constituency engagements, as well as consolidate the gains we," that is the constituents, "have made as a government at the constituency level in our quest to break the 8. The statement that was released earlier today indicated. She also expressed gratitude to the presidency for the opportunity to work at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection as well. So that's just a summary of what's happening to Sarah Adjosafo and the response that she's giving to the president. In fact, this is more of an acceptance of the decision by the president to sack her. Now, we know that even though members of parliament were expected to take a decision on her, the Speaker of Parliament indicated that after consulting the old lady, she decided, in fact, she had been pardoned at least until October. We'll get to know what the decision of the Speaker will be, whether her seat is going to be declared vacant or not. But what we do know is that she's out of the country again. She was reported to have been in the country earlier, but according to her aide, she's traveled out of the country back to the United States to attend to family issues. That's the latest with Sarah Adjosafo. But that's it. How about Asamoah Gyan? Think about it. You want to see Baby Jet back in the Black Stars, playing for the Ghana Black Stars in the 2022 Qatar World Cup? Well, he's made a very bold statement that he's hoping that that dream that he has will come to fruition. That's Asamoah Gyan's statistics. Undoubted, he's a prolific striker. I mean, look, he has the most goals as an African player in the World Cup. You can't take that away from him. That's what you have there. Appearances 11, goals 6, assists 3. His contribution to the Black Stars at the World Cup. He's the highest Black Stars World Cup scorer. The statistics are in his favor. The odds favor him. But then again, questions have been raised about his current form and whether he can still be described as the prolific striker, the Baby Jet that we knew him to be, and that kind of leader. And what role really is he going to play in the Black Stars setup if he is to be allowed into the Black Stars? That's what you see there. Okay, but I want us to take a listen to Asamoah Gyan himself talking about that. But he stated clearly that, one, he has the desire to go back and be considered in the Black Star setup going into Qatar 2022. In fact, some members of the general public have been reacting to Asamoah Gyan's desire to return to the Black Stars. Let's take a look.
There at all. Asamoah Gyan, please, an advice for you. Look at the strength of Jordan in the EPL. He couldn't. He's even struggling when he comes to the Black Stars. And you, Legon Cities, how many matches do you play? Please, we don't want problem. You ended your own at Brazil, and let it be there. Right now, Otto is building a new team for us, and we don't want old men. If you are if you are caught today, I will trade and come and play some.
Maybe he picks some form that he knows that he can play. That is why he wants to go back to Black Star. So for me, to my wish there, he should have been calling.
Asamoah Gyan has nothing to offer Black Star. He has done his best, so we should go out. We should bring different person. I don't see the reason why I should call Asamoah Gyan.
How can he say he wants to play at the World Cup? Besides, on our way to the World Cup, he made some statement clearly shows that he's a very selfish individual. For Asamoah Gyan to have made a statement that Ghana's penalty against South Africa was a very soft one, he should bow his head down in shame.
Yeah, sure, he can call him. Once he is fit to play, he can call him. I think one of the Africa countries, Cameroon, there was a time they called Roger Miller to come and play he was like a Samoan, and they call him to the team, and he did well. So I think if Asamoah is fit, he can call him.
That's it. If he's fit, just call him. Now that's what people are saying. In fact, they are the divergent views. Lots of you have been commenting on this on social media handles. I'm going to go back there. But Ibrahim Sanidara is a CAF media officer, former Ghana Football Association Director of Communications, also Jerome Ochre, football journalist, former editor of Kotoko Express. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you so much for staying up this late to join us on this conversation.
Thank you very much and good evening.
Great.
Good
Wonderful.
evening and thank you.
Super. So, look, let me start off with you, Ibrahim Sanidara. You've been with Asamoah Gyan. You've watched him play. You've been to the World Cups that right from the onset, we started showing the hope that we're able to take the world by storm. How do you react to this desire that he has to get back into the Black Star setup going into Qatar 2022?
Well, I look at it as Asamoah expressing his point of view, and I think that he added a caveat about his form and fitness. And he said his inclusion in the squad is resting on if he is fit enough to be able to play. He says he has the talent, but that rests on him being fit. That is the sticking point, if he's fit. And I don't think that the path the current Black Stars are taking, they'll take players that are not fit to the tournament. I think in one sense, he's very honest with himself that if he's not fit, he has no chance of going. Yes, we all know Asamoah Gyan is talented, but is it, is he the player that, will take Ghana to the World Cup and excel? That I doubt very much at this stage that his fitness level will permit him to go to the World Cup.
A lot of people made reference to, and Jerome, this will come to you, a lot of people made reference to his time with Legon Cities, and clearly his fitness did not support the kind of desire that he had to still remain the baby jet, the prolific striker that we knew him to be. Is there that justification that people are making that, look, you know what, because of what we've seen with Legon Cities, there is no reason why you should even dream of getting back to the Black Stars? Jerome?
Well, I think Gyan has every reason to express interest in playing for the Black Stars if he so wishes. But then it comes down to what the technical team of the Black Stars also think and wants to do. Yes, the Legon City experience really did not go well, and anybody that followed him there would agree that things didn't go the way he expected. And like Sani said, he has even made that concession that in terms of fitness, his body isn't responding well, and his body would have to respond properly, so we see what happens. So for me, it is going to come down to two things. One, whether he has the fitness to play, and then two, whether even after he determining that I'm fit to play, the technical team would have to come in and also say, okay, we also think that you have the fitness to be part of this team. Otherwise, it is going to be an issue of maybe the technical team deciding that, irrespective of his fitness, maybe he has other roles to play in the team. And I'm always going to side with the technical team on whatever they decide. But it's a straightforward matter of whether or not he will have any role to play in the team.
Well, look at his form now, and both of you watch him closely. You know his ins and outs. In fact, during that BBC interview, they showed videos of him keeping fit in the gym, letting us all know that he still has some strength in him. If there has to be any thought or consideration of he being added to the team as a player, not on the technical bench, would there be anything that's going to work for him? Anything that would, for you, Ibrahim, support that decision?
The only thing that would work for Asamoah at this moment is his experience, what he has given to the country in the past, and maybe perhaps the history of someone he quoted in that interview of Roger Milla. But the problem I see here is the time from now until the World Cup is too short. Asamoah has not played since he last played for Legon Cities. And now to the World Cup, we just have about 3 months, just under 100 days to go. It means that apart from fitness, not only fitness to get fit to be injury-free, but also you have to think of him being match fit. So there are so many hurdles he must jump before he gets to the league. If he, beats his injury devils, the second spot is that he must be match fit. There's a difference between him being fit, let's say him having consistent hamstring injuries that he has to recover from, but also you must be in a mood to have played consistently for some time before you are able to play a competitive football game. And I don't think time is really, really on his side. The only thing that, would work for him is perhaps people would say, oh, he's done it before, when we went to the World Cup. But that was years ago. Times have changed. In Roger Milla's case, when the president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, gave an edict that he should be included in the Cameroonian national team, he was then fit. That is the difference. Now Asamoah Gyan is not fit. So it will be really, really difficult for the coaching staff to say so. Why? Because the coaching staff are demanding that all the current players must play regularly with their clubs. And just today, one defender who has switched nationality and was not playing that much with the team in Germany, Hamburg, the player's name is Stefan Ambrosius.
Mm-hmm.
Just this afternoon, he had to demand from his team that he must be sent out on loan so he can play consistently to be able to warrant a place in the Black Stars. Now, what story does it tell you? It tells you that all the players are now fighting hard to play regularly. So Coach Otuado can consider them. If those who are playing regularly are struggling to even catch the attention of the coach, what about somebody who's not played for a very long time and who would have lots of hurdles to climb before the World Cup? It's a really tall order for him.
So you agree with the likes of Mohamed Polo, who says that Asamoah Gyan cannot and should not compare himself with Roger Milla because he's clubless and he's inactive. Those were his words.
Well, for me, if Asamoah can be fit and play some matches, 10, 15 matches before the World Cup, I won't rule Asamoah Gyan out. I know the magic Asamoah Gyan can pull. However, the hurdles that he faces now, I won't be categorical in saying that you won't compare him to Roger Milla. But I can just say that, let's be realistic, he has injury problems, he has not beaten those demons, and let's leave it as that.
So, Jerome, so there's really no hope of Asamoah increasing his fitness or improving on his fitness and possibly giving Ghanaians a reason why, look, we should let his dream come true to get a revenge on Suarez?
That hope depends on what he is going to do. If at all the technical team will consider it, I'm sure they would want to know exactly what he is doing or what he is going to do, the pace at which that work will go, and whether or not it falls in line with the expectations of the technical team. If those things are not made clear, or if Otuado and his guys do not know exactly what he will be doing and how that will fit into their programming for the team going into the World Cup, then that hope is really slim. But see, this is a country that often gets so sentimental over issues. I will not be surprised if Asamoah Gyan is not able to make it to the team for fitness reasons, But maybe for sentimental reasons, he will be added. I will not be surprised at all. I mean, these are things we have done in the past, and it might come again that let's add him to the squad, not necessarily because he's going to play, but maybe he has other roles to perform for the team. And I'm saying that these are things that has happened before. Just recently, we were talking about Alfred Ocansey, and I mean, he was virtually in the same position as Asamoah Gyan. And there were justifications that he might not be fit, yet he has roles and other things he does for the team or with the players that also go to help the performance of the players. And for that reason, he's been included in the squad for, I mean, some matches that we played. So in Gyan's case, he might not have the proper footballing reasons to be part of the World Cup team. But this is Ghana. I will not be surprised if for the sentimental and emotional reasons, he's added to the squad to go and play roles other than donning the jersey and playing on the field.
I have loads of messages, in fact, on this, and some coming through live now as you gentlemen are talking. Emmanuel Ontoba on Facebook says, look, he's from Domi Jim. He says, if you considering Asamoah Gyan, then Sule Muntari must also be called back to the Black Stars. I mean, that's a fair call, isn't it?
I would say Sule Muntari's call is even much fairer than Asamoah Gyan's call. Why? Because Muntari just played in the last season for Hearts of Oak. Even though his performance was not up there, I've seen highlights of his of Sule's performance for Hearts of Oak. You can see that the player is talented, but there are moments where he doesn't match up to the expectation, the pace of the game, or when he's without the ball, he's not as active as he used to be. So between Sule and Asamoah Gyan, who deserves it, I would perhaps say Sule more, because Sule played in the league and we could see the performances he put up. Even though he was not up to scratch in terms of the pace of it, if we can stretch that argument to that point. And that argument can be stretched to a lot of players. Some who we think are past their prime and are still playing or are not playing or currently, are involved one way or the other. We can stretch that argument to that limit. Even Sule, he would struggle to make it.
I see. And Jerome, you agree with this point that, yes, if we have to consider between Sule and Asamoah Gyan, Sule is 1 foot ahead because he's been a bit more active than Asamoah Gyan, if you put them on the same scale?
Oh, yes. I mean, I agree with my senior colleague. And it is evident that Sule is ahead because we saw him play a number of matches for Hearts of Oak. We saw not the true Sule we have known, but I mean some flashes of his former self. And if we are to consider the two and see who can really work to get to that finish line of making it to the World Cup, then Sule it's much closer than Asamoah Gyan, because you see, Gyan himself admits that he needs to work on his fitness. He needs to work on his body. And once he makes that admission, it is very difficult to even make a case for him. Unlike Gyan, Sule has been playing. I mean, the last 2, 3, 4 months of the Ghana Premier League, we saw him playing in Tamale, playing in Accra and some other centers. And I mean, everybody who was following Hearts of Oak would tell you that what Sule did, perhaps if he's to continue on that line for a few more months, maybe 2 months before we go to the World Cup, who knows? He will be much fitter than Asamoah Gyan. But I would still say this. I do not think that we have to entertain these ideas. We need to concentrate on the team that we are building for the World Cup and then for the subsequent competitions we'll be playing, and forget about these players who have done their part for the team. If there are any other roles we think they can play in the Black Star setup, so be it. Let us find them those roles. But in terms of contributing to the playing body, I mean playing squad on the field of play, I think they've passed that line, and we should skip them and concentrate on those guys that the coach has his eyes on.
And finally, gentlemen, this is to both of you. So, Jerome, you respond to it, and then I'll end with you, Ibrahim Sanidara.
All right.
If there has to be any reason or any other role that these old players, and in this case, Asamoah Gyan, would have to play, either for sentimental reasons or otherwise, what really will be the roles that they can play in the Black Star setup going into the World Cup?
Well, the World Cup is a big stage, and Asamoah Gyan has been there before. I mean, he has scored a great number of goals. He holds a World Cup record, and there's so much he can add in terms of motivating these guys. And as I said earlier, this is a country that places a lot of premium on those things. So why not put him in the team, put him on the plane, let him speak to the boys before matches, let him try and get them to understand what it means to play at the World Cup for the senior national team. And I think he will do a good job because he's been there before and he's seen it, and he will know what to tell these guys.
I think I'll agree with Jerome and go to the extent of saying that thankfully Asamoah Gyan has started his coaching badges. A couple of months ago, he was in England to start the high-level UEFA license B course. And once he's started this pathway, I see a place for him in scouting our next opponents. I see a place for him on the Ghana bench where he will join the team to be perhaps maybe the strikers coach. As it stands now, we don't have a strikers coach, even though we have, specific assistant coaches. But he can be a strikers coach, similar to what has been done to Benny McCarthy as Manchester United recently signed him. And to add to that, apart from all of these things, he can act as a motivator for the players, given his experiences, his high level of experience at the World Cup and beyond. What Asamoah Gyan has been able to do for this country, the strikers that we have at the moment are relatively young with little or no experience at all, apart from perhaps, let's say, Inaki Williams. But the rest are just starting off their careers, and it would be prudent for us to have somebody on the bench in the stature of Asamoah Gyan who give them pep talks. When things go wrong, he would be able to calm them down and all of that. I think that there might be some role there for him to play.
Tonight, thank you so much. And we'll leave the team to prepare. And really, that's the most important thing that I take from all of this. But let's see if his dreams will come to pass. But I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Do have a good night. That's Ibrahim Sanidara. He is a CAF media officer, former GFA Director of Communications, also Jerome Ochre, and a former Kotoko Express editor, and then also a sports journalist as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for time. But lots of social media reactions. Look at this. This one here from Akariagu. That's Francis says, I think he should be allowed to join the squad because of his experience, will help build a strong morale for the squad. Go Gyan. Okay, that's this one here says, not against his call-up though, but frankly speaking, he has done his best for the country and his time has passed. Let's accept the fact and move on. Yeah, as this one says, as we at it, let's also call Stephen Appiah and John Mensah as well. I mean, look, Stephen Appiah is actually playing a role somehow in there. This one says, don't you destroy the new team with this. This issue is all over the BBC. In fact, he granted an interview with the BBC. So, yeah, I believe it is a well-planned thing, you say. And you're not alone in this. Other people also think this way. This one here from Prince Don Duku says, is he also going to catch the bar like Suarez did or what? Okay, so it says, we saw him in the Ghana Premier League. Tell us the number of goals he scored. Let's look forward, please. Like in Nkrumah, you say. And this person has listed a number of reasons. Gyan is not good in shape. Gyan's motive is to prove a point, not to help the squad. Gyan's past glory isn't enough to earn him a place And a callback, Jan's contribution is needed but not on the pitch. Jan has 3 months to prove to us that he can walk that talk. Anyway, he still remains baby jet. As for the morale and the jama, you can't take it away from him. And that's what he does for the guys. Thank you so much for staying with us on Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. I leave you with this. You have a good night.